Everything was silent in our home for weeks. Not a tense silence, not at first. It was peaceful, the kind of silence that blankets a house after years of chaos and healing. My name is Emma Carter, and I had finally found a rhythm in life, in love, and in my own skin. After marrying Jason Carter 5 years ago, I learned how to balance marriage, career, and complicated family dynamics. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened when Jason's father, David Carter, came to stay with us. It started with a call in early spring. Jason came home with a tense expression, tossed his keys on the counter, and rubbed the back of his neck like he always did when he had something difficult to say. "My dad lost his apartment," he said, avoiding eye contact. I raised an eyebrow. What happened? Long story. He's in between jobs, and his landlord raised the rent. He needs a place to stay. Just for a while. Jason had always had a complicated relationship with his father. David was strong-willed, opinionated, and used to getting his way. After Jason's mother passed away 5 years ago, David became even more difficult, distant, but somehow demanding. We saw him on holidays, exchanged obligatory texts, and smiled for family photos, but that was about it. Still, I knew Jason felt responsible for him. I didn't hesitate. "He can stay here. We'll make it work." When David arrived, he was quieter than I expected. He looked older, more tired, and slightly humbled. He hugged Jason stiffly, gave me a half-smile, and settled into the guest room with a sigh. At first, things went smoothly. He was polite. He helped with dishes. He even offered to mow the lawn without being asked. I started to think that maybe my concerns were unfounded. Maybe time had softened him. But slowly, the silence in the house began to shift. Not the peaceful kind. This silence was heavy, like something was hanging in the air that no one wanted to acknowledge. It began with small things. David would watch me a little too long while I was cooking or folding laundry. Once, I turned around and found him standing behind me in the hallway, not saying anything, just staring like he had forgotten he was supposed to look away. I told Jason about it, and he brushed it off. He probably just spaced out. You know how he is. But I didn't know how he was, not really. I started locking the bathroom door even when I was just brushing my teeth. I changed in our bedroom with the blinds shut and the door locked. It felt ridiculous, but something in my gut told me to be cautious. One evening, Jason was working late at the hospital. He's a trauma nurse and his hours are unpredictable. I was reading on the couch when David walked in from the kitchen and sat across from me. He didn't say anything at first. Just watched me. "You remind me of Linda," he said finally. I looked up. "Your wife." He nodded. "You have the same presence." I forced a smile, unsure how to respond. "She was a lovely woman. She was powerful," he said. "People noticed when she walked into a room. Just like you." The way he said it made me uncomfortable, but I thanked him and went upstairs soon after. I locked the bedroom door and didn't sleep much that night. Things escalated from there. He started offering unsolicited compliments. Told me my perfume was intoxicating. Commented on the way I dressed, even when I was in sweatpants. Once, he touched my shoulder and let his hand linger a little too long. It was subtle. But it was there. And the silence that followed each moment was deafening. I confided in my best friend, Marissa. "You need to tell Jason," she said without hesitation. "That's a boundary issue, Emma. You don't want this to get worse." I agreed, but I wasn't sure how to say it. Jason was already so stressed. He'd been working extra shifts, trying to save up for a house. I didn't want to add to his burdens. Still, I couldn't ignore what was happening. So one night, after dinner, I sat Jason down and told him everything, how David watched me, what he said, how I felt uneasy in my own home. Jason looked stunned. "Are you sure? I mean, he's been through a lot." "I'm not accusing him of anything," I said, holding his hand. "I'm telling you how I feel. I'm not comfortable." Jason was quiet for a long time. Then he said he'd talk to his father. I was relieved. But the next day, everything changed. David confronted me in the kitchen. His tone was accusatory. "So now you're turning my own son against me?" I stepped back. I told Jason how I felt. That's all. He leaned in closer. You've got a lot of nerve, making me out to be some kind of creep when all I've done is treat you with respect. You've crossed lines, David, I said firmly. It's not respectful to comment on how I look or stand too close or make me feel like I have to hide in my own house. His face changed then. The charm disappeared, and something darker came through. You think you're better than everyone, don't you? Always walking around like you're some perfect little angel. I was shaken but held my ground. This conversation is over. I walked out and locked myself in the bedroom until Jason got home. When I told him what happened, he didn't hesitate. He packed David's bags that night. You crossed the line, Dad, I heard Jason say at the front door. And you're not welcome here anymore. David didn't argue. He left without a word. But the silence he left behind lingered. For weeks, Jason and I barely spoke. There was tension between us, an invisible wall that neither of us knew how to climb. I felt guilty, angry, confused. Jason felt torn, caught between his father and his wife. Eventually, we went to counseling. It wasn't easy, but it helped. Jason learned how to navigate his own feelings of obligation and betrayal. I learned how to voice my boundaries without fear of being seen as overreacting. We started rebuilding our trust, one day at a time. David never reached out after that. He moved in with a cousin in Arizona, and we heard through the grapevine that he found part-time work at a hardware store. Jason still sends him birthday cards and holiday texts, but that's it. Now, a year later, the house is quiet again. But it's the good kind of quiet. The kind filled with comfort and safety and unspoken understanding. We've learned that silence isn't always something to fear. Sometimes, it's the space you need to heal. I won't pretend everything's perfect. The memory of those tense weeks still lingers. But I'm proud of how we handled it. I'm proud of Jason for standing by me. And I'm proud of myself for listening to my instincts and speaking up when it mattered most. Everything was silent, until my father-in-law crossed the line. But in breaking that silence, I found my voice. And that changed everything.